Ladies and gentlemen, Yishel Khan.
Thank you, Adam, for your kind words. And I just want to take a minute to thank Adam for putting up with my last-minute requests at 2 and 3 a.m. That was very sweet of you. Other than that, I'm highly honored to be here amongst such amazing people. So thank you all for being here to listen to what I have to say. Just to give you a quick summary of what I'd be talking about, I'd start off with the healthcare industry with relevance to IoT, and then I'll tie that in with DOT and who we are. But here's the irony of the situation. I'm not a healthcare professional. A year ago, I would have been sitting in the exact same seats that you are right now. And I'll try to talk about who we are alongside how I got to where I am today. So let's get started. My grandfather is one of the most brilliant people that I know of. And this summer, I was visiting him some 10,000 kilometers away from here. On my last night over there, I was rushing him to the hospital. Reason being is he had collapsed. After 6 hours of testing, the doctor informed us that it was a case of a drug reaction. His Alzheimer's almost cost him his life. In today's day and age of technology, where we speak of the Internet of Things, machine-to-machine communication, and any and every inanimate object is capable of interacting with one another, why is it that the healthcare sector is so sluggish? Why is it that only 30% of all devices are healthcare? The reason is it's very difficult to break the silos of this medical culture. This multi-trillion-dollar industry is very heavily guarded by rules and regulations, and these rules and regulations were once there to protect the patient and the consumers, but today they've become more of a mindset of the individuals. I was at a conference a few months ago here in Ottawa, which aimed at bridging the gap between the healthcare sector and innovation, and the schedule of the conference was such that it started off with doctors presenting their needs, and it followed by innovators talking about the technology they had to offer. And as shocking as it may sound, at the end of the first half of the conference, most of the white coats from the room had disappeared. But today, the time is right and change is inevitable. Consumers are tired of paying exorbitant fees. They want a more personalized healthcare system. They know what they're paying for, they're more aware of it. At the same time, they're trying to take charge of their own healthcare. The facilitation to this is through wearable technologies, mobile applications, as well as web-based platforms. So let's imagine a world where you enter your home and you step on your weighing scale, and your weighing scale is able to send the weight trends to your local physician's data management system. And that data management system is capable of detecting anomalies and informing your physician to contact you. Pair that up with a smartwatch that can detect your heart rate, and it can tell you of your dietary needs. Now let's take that a notch further, and let's think of a toothbrush that is capable of detecting the markers in your saliva, or maybe even an intelligent bathroom that can detect the deficiencies. Superimposing all of these biometrics not only helps you as an individual, but also helps doctors. Reason being is doctors can now spend more time solving the problem and give you a more holistic picture and less time testing. What I would do right now to be able to click my phone and monitor my grandfather's health, and I'm sure you would do the same for your loved ones too. So let the data be analyzed by specialists, but to develop the framework, the tools, the devices is something we can do, and that's somewhere we can start. I was born in Pakistan, and I grew up in Dubai, and I came to Canada for my higher education. I've taught children with various special needs, be it ADHD, autism, Tourette syndrome, schizophrenia. At the end of the day, it comes down to one major aspect lacking from their lives, and that's expression. The same way we use a translator to understand another language, we need a translator for their behaviors. Today, the problem is the most common approach is the one fit for all. They're bundled together and taught in the same way. It's the same as taking an arts major and a science major and teaching them the same content. It just doesn't work. As a result, the child makes little or no progress. In trying to understand the difficulties faced by families struggling with ADHD, I met Jacqueline. Jacqueline is a mother of two. Jacqueline noticed that our younger daughter, Michelle, was not like the average child. She was embarrassed to take her into public because her daughter would throw a tantrum. She would get frustrated at times, and she felt her parenting was flawed. It was not until 4 years later that Jacqueline decided to take her to a hospital, and it took a whole year for her to be diagnosed with ADHD. But that wasn't the end of it. The rest of her life was spent trying to figure out how to help her child, and she had to quit her job and move to a more developed city in order to do so. On the other hand, Michelle had difficulty making friends at school. Imagine feeling isolated and lonely and misunderstood. Imagine not being able to connect to your very own mother. And that's when I decided that our mission would be to reconnect this lost establishment between the parents and the child. Out of all mental disorders, ADHD is the most common. It affects 11% of all child population, accounting to 9 million children who are affected. The annual cost for families is about $3,000, accounting to $27 billion being spent. And you can imagine the frustration on the part of a parent when you're paying all this money and you do not realize or see any progress in your child. Oops. Sorry about that. As you saw in the case of Michelle, 6 precious years of her life were wasted. In the case of many others, even after receiving treatment, there's no way to quantify even if it's working or not. DOT serves the purpose of diagnosis and therapy through the comfort of your home. DOT is doing what has not been done before. DOT reads brain signals to translate them to the parent, informing the parent when it's time to visit a doctor. DOT provides games which use clinically proven techniques of neurofeedback to help the child develop these mental skills. So let me just step back for a minute and be honest with you. This idea was conceived at a 48-hour hackathon event. And I'll talk about how it came to where it is in a bit. But when I look at this slide and I look at where I was a year ago, it's quite astonishing to me as well. So we're using the Muse headband developed by Interaxent. The headband uses medical-grade EEG signaling, and we use those signals to translate them onto a monitoring bar, which stays red if the threshold are below normal and turns green if they are normal. That is one of our elementary versions of the signaling that we had, and you can check out what we have designed so far at our booth that is located in the corner. We're using Dr. Clark's research work very closely with ours. So as you can see, there exist differences in the male and female brain signaling in the alpha, beta, and theta, as well as these differences occur over a wide age group as well. And we're using our algorithms which incorporate all of these differences to better cater to the needs of the individual. Now, stepping back to the hackathon and now relating it to how it went from just a hackathon idea to doctors and neuroscientists being involved, the key is just finding the right people. There are people out there like you and me who want to help, who want to support you. In my case, it was Luke Serwa, founder of Hacking Health, as well as Sergio Escobar, director of Founder Institute, who took me under their umbrella. And that was my pivoting point. So I'm very happy with our progress, and today we have our minimal viable product, which consists of diagnosis. By the end of next month, we will begin testing, and in January, we'll have our beta version ready for commercialization for testing. Prior to that, we're looking into potential partnership to get basic certification according to different standards. We're also in contact with BrainCode, which is a data management company, to look for crowd storage options. And this would open the gates to remote health monitoring. Remote health monitoring is a technology that enables parents to basically remotely monitor their child without being in the conventional setting of an office space or a clinical institution. The data is stored through companies similar to BrainCode, and through data analytics, it is accessible through parents, doctors, and schools, or whoever you may want to give the permission to. For DOT, this would allow doctors now to make decisions that are going to be data-driven. This is going to improve the patient's lifestyle. Doctors would be able to effectively monitor the patient remotely and monitor their live feed as well. Parents would be able to monitor their child from the comforts of their home. This would lower the cost associated. Parents would also have a real-time feedback analyzing whether a drug the child may be taking is working or not. For schools, teachers would now have a deeper insight to the child's development, and they can personalize programs to help the child develop the cognitive skills they need. Our goal is simple. We want to save the years of every child's life. So coming back to the team and talking about how critical it is, when you initially start off, the team is dynamically going to change, and that's okay. It's about finding the right people. Dr. Rashida, who is a PhD in brain signaling at McGill University, is our medical researcher. Justin Smith, who has 10 plus years in product marketing, is the product manager. And we have advisors and mentors who are Dr. Tisui, who's PhD in neuropsychology, as well as Stefan Pillet, who's an angel investor, as well as a business specialist. So as you can see, that's a roadmap of where DOTS started. And ever since then, we've presented on various platforms and won several awards. One key advice I would like to put out there is don't be afraid to put yourself out there. In today's day and age of technology, it is our attitude that becomes the limiting factor. I can't solve every mental disorder out there, but I can start somewhere, and DOT is my somewhere. Thank you.